Y'all, you know it's always an honor and a pleasure to have special guests take time out of their busy schedules to join us on this show. Good morning.
Hey, it's Kamala Harris.
Madam Vice President, how you doing?
I am well, Rickey. How are you?
I'm doing good. I am so excited to have you. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all give it up and show your love for the Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris.
It's good to be with you, Rickey Smiley. It's good to be with you.
Thank you so much for joining us. I know it's a lot going on, and after the President Biden and Vice President Harris won the 2020 election, states around the country like Georgia, Texas kind of created legislation making it harder for people to vote. And I saw you and President Biden speak in Atlanta on Tuesday as we gear up for some major local and national elections in the next 2 years. We all know that voter legislation is so important. Why is there a holdup in the United States Senate?
Well, first of all, it's good to be back with you, Rickey. And I'll tell you, I think that we know that there are certain people who, frankly, get intimidated when we show our power.
Right.
And here's what I'm talking about. In 2020, you saw record numbers of people who voted. Record numbers. And for the people who didn't agree with how they voted and what they voted for, which, by the way, included things like extending the child tax credit so we could do what we did last year, which is lift almost half of black children out of poverty. People who didn't agree with the idea that we should be giving $1,400 checks to people who are out of work during the pandemic through no fault of their own. People who didn't agree with the idea that we say that big corporations should pay their fair share of taxes, but people who make less than $400,000 should not see an increase in their taxes. People who didn't like what folks voted for decided, hey, one way to change that is let's make it harder for people to vote. And so they started passing laws, including in states like Georgia, laws that make it against the law to give somebody who's standing in line to vote water and food.
Right.
Laws that would reduce the number of drop boxes. Why do folks need drop boxes? Well, imagine a single parent, a father or a mother, who's got those 3 bad kids in the back seat and doesn't have time or the ability to stand in line to vote, but can certainly fill out the ballot at home and then drive by the drop box to drop it in the drop box, right?
Right.
And they want to make it more difficult. And so what we are doing right now is fighting against these laws. And the best way to do it is to pass legislation in the United States Congress to prohibit, to prevent, to not allow these states with their political agenda from making it more difficult for folks to vote.
Right. And we talk a lot about what the GOP is blocking, but the administration has been able to aggressively appoint justices. Can you share some of the other wins that the GOP is not standing in the way of?
Well, I'll tell you about a success we've had. Last year, our administration appointed more black women to the United States Courts of Appeals than ever in the history of any administration.
Wow.
I will repeat that. More black women to the Courts of Appeal than any other administration in the history of the United States. Imagine that.
That's amazing.
Well, right. And so that's what the people voted for when they stood in those lines, saying this is the kind of approach we want, which is we want equal representation everywhere, including in courts of law, in terms of who will be judges deciding some of the most significant issues that can impact us.
And these are lifetime appointments, Madam Vice President?
Let's not be fooled about what's at stake here and what motivates people.
Right. And quickly before you leave, the biggest topic, of course, is Omicron. Oh, I can't even talk today. And how the latest surge, right, Omicron, and how the latest surge has people struggling to find COVID testing. If people are looking to order the free testing kits, where can they go?
So to get the free test, well, first of all, we're sending out the free testing kits, and we're sending out 500 million are getting sent out. And we, for example, have been sending testing kits out to clinics and libraries. And so you can go online, you can actually Google to see where is the free test in your community, in your neighborhood. And it includes clinics, it includes libraries, because we want to make sure that everybody can have access to the test. The other thing that we want to encourage people to do is that if health insurance, we now have arranged so that your insurance will cover the test. So if you go pick up a test at a pharmacy. And ultimately, in addition to the tests, in addition to what we can do in terms of the pills that are now on the market that we have been working on to help people who already have COVID, who are looking at hospitalization or, God forbid, death, the bottom line that we have to keep reminding everybody is that get vaccinated, please. Get the booster. It will save you from being hospitalized. It will save you from possible death. And, you know, the bottom line is that well over 90% of the people who are currently hospitalized with COVID are people who have not been vaccinated. And we each have it within our power to go get vaccinated and to decide to save our lives and save our families from having to grieve any kind of loss like that.
Hey, that's right. And thank you so much for joining us this morning, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all, please give it up for the Vice President of the United States of America, Kamala Harris.
It's good to be with you, Rickey Smiley, and I'll